Yes, this is another episode of the INO podcast. INO, information, knowledge, observation. Also, Baba.
Come in. Look at the camera. You in
closer.
frame.
We want you closer. Come.
But you kill all the opening credits just now.
We
man.
can start over,
Let's start.
Let's just keep going. This is INO podcast, information, knowledge, observation. Also, I know what we're talking about. I already know what's going on. I know where this can be. I know when the next one come out. Blah blah blah. I know who our next guest can be, but I know who our guest is today. On the far left of me is Kofi,
I'm not a guest. I'm normally here.
and our very special guest today is Luci Hammans.
Hi.
Hello, and Luci. In case you don't know, she is an advocate for, I guess, minority things.
Minority rights. Things in general.
Minority things. And let me say that the reason why I brought Luci here is because I have a lot of respect for Luci about anything she has done in Barbados when it comes to event planning as an artist, a fellow artist, and also, an advocate for women's rights and I guess any kind of minority rights. She is basically there, and she's gonna just inform us on all the stuff that we may not know.
Yeah.
That was the worst intro.
It's okay.
You've done better.
Yeah, I have. But for me, it's kind of hard to kind of get everything in when it comes to somebody that does so much and has so much impact, right? So, but yeah, yeah. So, okay. But before we get into all that stuff, I gotta talk about my experience over the last few days, right? All right, Kofi, I went beige, right? So I went beige. I know it's safe for my story for the podcast. But wait, I want to make sure my level's good. You can hear me
you
good?
sound good.
Okay, cool.
You can't hear yourself?
Not the best, but I'll make it work, right?
He sounds great to me.
Okay, all right. So I went beige, right? First thing I realized when I get to beige is that the people that I was seeing at beige, they were all shorter than I expected them to be.
I want to cut you off already. Because you asked in the group chat, you man game beige? I said, no, Marcus. That is not for us anymore.
but the thing is that I knew people that were going. I was going with people and thing. I was just like,
Were they all 12?
No. They were like, I mean, people my age. So I was like, maybe it changed now because Puffy was gonna play for 2 hours and thing, right? So I was like, he probably bringing a big audience, whatever, right? Everybody is unnecessarily short. So I'm like looking at people and I'm like,
shoot.
So I looking closer and these people look like get back the CIC results, dog.
Because they did.
Right? So I trying to keep cool, and I get inside now. I had about like 5 drinks, right? Like I downed them.
You mean immediately?
Yes. Yes.
I'm having a good time. Damn it.
Exactly. Because usually I got my 3 drinks and I be cool. So, but this time I said, nah. In order for me to enjoy myself, I need more than 3, right? So. And then also the man that I was with was like, yeah, they're young, but if you know the outline of them, right, just as long as it's a girl, just dance on she and don't look at she, right? And that would make things easier, right?
I feel uncomfortable.
I feel like, no.
I was like, no, brother. Like, what? Right? So anyway, so things were going on, like, and not to mention it was a mailbox too. Yeah, if the ratio was like 6 men to 1 girl. It felt like, right? Okay, so it gets to about 3 o'clock now, right? All of a sudden, I see the whole crowd comes to the front of the stage. Nobody is by the bar. I go up by the bar, and I am literally seeing men with unopened bottles of rum and vodka pelting at one another.
This is not okay.
Unopened bottles. I see like a silver and a Manhattan, and Matt is pelting it. Meanwhile, the crowd is right there, right?
I was confused when you first told the story. What direction these people pelting at?
Wherever the man was running to, he was pelting. And
so let's say he's running toward the front of the crowd.
Well, go ahead, man. So all right. So I did what any logical person would do in that situation. I got closer so I can see. So I can talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah,
of course,
a good idea.
Right?
Yeah,
because of course I need content for the podcast, right? So then man, like, so then eventually, right? Because the fence was like, it was basically a curtain, like you could push it down and like get out of the venue, right? Because Valkus is so big, of course they can only fence off a piece, right? So these men, that were chasing this man. The man got out of the venue and is running down the Vaucluse pasture, right? Okay. He's running down the Vaucluse pasture. His friends are running after him. Security's running after him, right? There is no security anymore, right? When I tell you at least 10 men hop the bar and start thieving drinks.
Oh my god!
Listen,
this sounds like a dystopian dream.
I saw a man with a 6-pack, a 6 case of Banks on one hand, a silver and a next hand running past me. Like everybody just like
because so these men getting to already cars.
Yeah, towards the car park.
Wow.
It's done. Everything is done, right? But meanwhile, this is when Puffy is playing. Puffy is now getting his groove, right?
No.
But
the music was still going on?
No, it was done. It was done. It was done. But, and then I saw a man. This, I swear, this is just my highlight of my night. I saw a man. I saw a man hop the bar, flip over the table that had on the drinks, unclip the legs, fold the table, and leave the table, dragging the table behind him, like on his shoulders, towards the car park. And that's what meanwhile no one is even saying anything, because what you can say, right? The security is that way.
I mean, how savage are you as a human? Like, everybody carry things, and you ain't got no drinks. No drinks left, man. Like, well, this table here.
That time in particular.
At that time, I was like, big man, I know you got tables, so I'm down. I know that you're just doing this to be lawless.
But the thing is, right, for holding events, you struggle to get one of them 6-foot tables here.
It be.
Not 100 right there.
It was one of them like cream tables that your pants. Right.
Yes.
That was wild.
That's pretty epic.
That was wild.
And you said this is why DJ was playing? DJ Puffy was playing?
Yeah, that was when Puffy was playing.
He needs to turn that into a music video. Like, that's what needs to happen.
Like, what the hell? But yeah, that was my experience. You did anything for Kaduma? I mean, Crop Over?
Crop Over so far, we went to Soca Royale on Sunday.
What you thought?
I didn't enjoy Party Monarch as much as I did like when I went like 2 years back. And this is the first time I've ever been when it was hosted in the evening, which I quite liked, to be honest. I felt like the sun ain't cutting my ass. It's quite nice. It's quite cool. Yeah. And the fireworks can look extra pretty. And I love fireworks. But then Sweet Soca had it hold down. Like, I had a lot of fun at Sweet Soca.
It was long because when I went before this both competitions, it just seemed like enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Party Monarch finished real quick. I think they only had like 6 contestants.
Only?
So
that sounds very inaccurate. I have no idea, but I mean that just sounds like it should be more.
Yeah,
it was like 6. I think so. Babe, sorry. Person who's not.
Shout out to Levi King who is in the building.
No, you mean babe, not Levi.
Anyway, but yeah.
I honestly think there was 6. Or I can't. If anything, there wasn't as much as 10. It was quite like small. And then there was Sweet Soca, and Sweet Soca had more contestants, but the vibe was good, and like it was just like bam, 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 contestant after contestant, which was sweet. Just like a few minutes for setup for the stage, but
who you thought was gonna win one? Like what you thought about the winners?
I was down for RPB. Like his piece was, I think, it was exceptional, like how he brought it together. And then obviously it's like some people are like, RPB can't sing, but I'm like, but he always performs so well, so I don't know. And like I didn't like the song when I heard it on the radio because I'm terribly seasick, so like hearing the song made me seasick in the car, so I was like, this is not okay. But then when he was performing it and he had the landship and everything felt like, well, not felt like, but everything kind of had this higher metaphor concept going on, which is like, you know, the economy is going down and we're like, we're still going on. Well, it was an analysis that I've heard that I really connected with, and yeah, it's kind of sweet. Man
talking about rocking like a boat.
But then if you think about it in like context,
so like you're trying to stay afloat in the economy,
political context. He doesn't talk about having a captain, so that's kind of symbolic. But then also at the end, he like shot flares as the pyrotechnics. Like there was like a red flare gun.
Oh, you mean like an actual boat?
Like an actual boat.
That's cool. Okay.
So you see, you see what I mean? Like he stuck to concept, and it was sweet. Lil Rick's piece, I really enjoyed as well.
I wanted to see it too because I heard that he did like something about the crime and he spoke about crime and all that stuff.
Yeah, that was at Party Monarch. He had a bit of an interlude about that. At Sweet Soca, it was like basically because that was Crop Over's A Blessing Not a Curse, and it was totally like this very nostalgic feel of him going through like all the greatest moments we as an island have had at Crop Over, which was really inclusive. And it's just like, oh my god, I was there for that. Like, it was so sweet. So I was like, all right, good job.
I would like to see it because I keep hearing about it, but I saw the video on Facebook, but I didn't watch it yet.
I didn't get around to watching any videos yet.
Yeah,
Yes.
I got it,
Some
man.
of them
I
are
haven't even heard Boat Ride.
What?
I'm so serious. I haven't.
You heard it.
Nah, I haven't.
Not on purpose, but you would hear it in
Nah,
In life,
I don't
like-
think so.
Okay.
It's a really sweet song.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice. And
Alright.
yeah.
Oh, safe. Now, Kofi, wait, anything? Not really.
I went Soak Up on the Hill. It was Soak Up on the Hill is always
You
good.
perform at Soca on
Yeah,
Hill?
I did.
I love the
Oh,
way he's
I
like,
like
I went. Me and a couple friends.
But I go so often, and I was just with the people I'm with every year, so I honestly forgot for a second there that I played. Which was cool, because...
And this is your first time playing there, right?
How
So how you-
Congratulations,
Like,
man.
Soak Up on the
Like,
Hill
come
is
on.
such a regular thing for me. Like, I just look forward to that at Christmas to be.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, it is kind of like, it's got that feel for truth.
Yeah, Crop Over is the second Christmas.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
100.
It's like the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
fuzzy
Like,
feeling.
Just
come
feeling
on.
it
Really
there.
happy.
You're just feeling the air.
But
Yeah.
it's
that.
like, it's better because you got events. Like, instead of, you know how Christmas just comes and it goes?
Yeah.
You got like
Yeah.
all the different days of Crop Over
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
can
it's
celebrate
true.
and get
It's
on
true,
back
it's true, it's true. So when you actually perform, like, what it was like, what you thought it was gonna be, what you thought?
Leading up, I was ridiculously nervous. Because, like, I didn't find out my time until the night before. And I wasn't sure, like, if I not gotta go and plan the best set of my life in case for some reason they put me at 5 o'clock where everybody there.
Yeah,
I played at 12, which is 5 hours before 5.
Okay.
But I saw a good couple of people there, which was shocking. Like, a good, like, 100 people was there.
Oh, say.
So they were still, like, rocking and partying, and it feel good. And then the DJ after me cut out, so it feel good. Like, that wasn't me.
Aww.
And you get baby treatment saying that you DJ and thing.
Artist treatment, which isn't the same.
Oh, so we got food and thing.
There was food, but I couldn't wait for it to come out. So man, like, I got artist treatment. I didn't get VIP treatment. Which brings me to the only complaint I normally got for Soak Up on the Hill. Entering that damn venue, even as an artist, was stress. Because you walk in the priority parking, walk like an entire mile, then to be told, oh, you can't enter this gate. This is the technical staff gate. You have to walk around and enter through a separate gate. There is no sign saying this, by the way. So you're walking to the only gate you can see, which makes sense because I parked there.
Right.
There is a gate there. I entered that gate. They're like, no, you have to walk so, and then past this gate again. You know, you just got to walk around for no
As the
reason.
artist?
Yes.
Nah, that's not right.
And then when you get there, you know, and you see people setting up food, so like, yeah, I'm sitting there with food, and then you just waiting a half hour past, and I kind of just want like 2 wings though. So.
Man,
And a
that,
fish cake.
that sounds like a whole other podcast, boy. That don't sound right for.
you don't. Barbadian entertainers aren't the best treated people.
Yeah.
This is why we need a union.
Yeah.
I said that in a DJ chat yesterday. A guy, a friend of mine was playing for a 4-day band, and the band leader told him, well, everybody else playing for either $100 or free. So you gotta lower your price to
Are
$100,
you mad?
play for free, or do not play. I think that is insane.
That is
I mean, I don't know how it is in other aspects of entertainment, but DJs do this undercutting thing that pisses me off. If you have a rate,
I've heard.
charge your rate.
I've heard.
There is
makeup
no
artists
reason
have
that you
the
should
same
hear
thing.
that DJ Levi charging $800. You're like, oh well, I'll do it for $300. That's nonsense.
But our DJs, will you say? I don't know if in Barbados or just in general, is that like a replaceable position you could have? Like if a DJ can't do it, can you find someone that will do something similar or the exact same?
Yes and no. Yes, in regards of the fact there are, I believe 1 every 4 men is a DJ. There are 3 men in here. 1 of them is a DJ.
Okay, yeah.
Like,
in
I think,
Barbados.
I think it's real ridiculous. Like, it's a real oversaturated market.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, I don't want to say crappy DJs, but
Mm.
pub DJs
Mm.
that are very replaceable. Like, you want somebody play before the gates open, just so people outside can hear music.
Yeah.
If realistically, as a promoter, if this person's charging $200 and you find somebody to do it for $100, it's not that big of a drop from a business standpoint. You can replace them.
Yeah.
However, there are DJs that are not talented, that are irreplaceable.
Mm.
Like, if you have Puffy at Fat, you don't go Puffy doing it for $700. DJ Marcus.
Because
can
he
do it
bring
for-
the following.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's not
So
just
that
talent.
you get to that point.
But
Okay.
I think that's the same in like almost every artistic field. Like they got some people who have a name,
Mhm.
and their name, especially if they're in the performance arts, will bring an audience. So they become the people that are priority to pay,
Exactly.
and everybody else is just like, oh well, you can wait till your check comes, and it's like,
Don't
no,
start with that.
no, we cannot. Like, pay me now. You said
other
you pay me
entertainers get
now.
undercut though. Like,
Yeah, I've heard. Well, not entertainers, but I've heard of like makeup artists who have the same kind of.
but that's
issue.
becoming the same thing. Another oversaturated
yeah,
market.
yeah. It's like it's like an equivalent to me.
And they blame YouTube.
I'm not gonna say nothing because I did my makeup because of YouTube.
I love that women can now learn to do it based on YouTube. You could do your own makeup. I think that's beautiful. Women really stepping up. I think women don't. You used to got a bad looking eyeshadow and eyebrows about this thin. Like,
yeah.
No, what the wrong thing is every woman is doing this and I'm thinking, this is not my career.
Right.
Which it can't really last.
It's not really our fault, because then when you start thinking about like what other access to markets do we really have, like to be a freelance or to be an entrepreneur, there's so little of our markets are even funded enough for people to like invest in true
That's true too.
skills.
Our government.
That's true.
So anyway,
Yeah,
that's another
podcast.
Moving on real quick.
Moving right along. Right. So I wanted to bring you here because there were some conversations we had on past podcasts that we kind of got some roadblocks because we kind of didn't know. We could only go by what the articles were saying, but like then a lot of terms came up and we had no idea what they meant. Then I researched what the terms meant. They didn't really seem to make much sense. Okay. So on a podcast, I think about 3 weeks ago, we had a conversation about the first genderless baby, right? Where a non-binary transgender woman, they had a child and they left the sex unassigned.
Fair
right.
Enough, yeah.
So it was neither male or female. It was just unassigned. Right. So, and then it just raised a lot of questions like, what does that mean? So like, you can be born not male or female. So what is your take on it?
Okay. To put my cards on the table, like I believe that we live in a world that is like very specific on gender binary. So you're either male or you're female, and there's like very little in between. So like we've been designed, or society teaches us, like if you're a dude, these are the ways that you act. If you're a woman or a girl, these are the ways that you act. And there are a lot of people who are born in that in between and feel like I don't necessarily connect with being a dude and having to act like a dude, even though I may have a penis, right? And obviously vice versa.
Right.
So across that spectrum, you'll have people who are like, I don't really feel like I fit in, and I really wish that society didn't tell me that I was supposed to be this way. And I think that a lot of people like who advocate for gender and sexual diversity kind of wish that we could have removed or had the opportunity to remove that predetermined label. So it's like when you're born, they put a label on you based on the genitals that you have, and that determines what you're supposed to be. So I guess for me, it makes sense that someone who is a mother who may have gone through or may have had difficulty in their own like gender and sexual identity might want to remove that particular hurdle for their child. So, but being male or female is a hurdle? It can be for some people. Like if you've been determined, if you're lucky enough to feel like, actually, I've got a penis, I feel like a dude, I've got a vagina, I feel like a woman, then you're never really going to, well, on that spectrum, you're never really going to have that problem. But there are some people who literally have to face like persecution or death trying to make themselves feel comfortable in the body that they have because of something that somebody else has decided for them. And also, like, if you want to start talking about like gender inequality, then that will also be another hurdle. But yeah. Okay, so my original thought, right, is that if you're born male or female, regardless of how you feel you are, the reality is that you are male or female, whether you like it or not. That is scientifically, you have the XY chromosome or the XX chromosome that makes you a male or female. But then we get taught that as a simplicity. That's a simplicity narrative, because there are a lot of, it's not just an X and a Y that's in our bodies. We can have multiple X's or multiple, or there are other chromosomes that come into play with our gender. So you can have like several more X's, or might have, once you have that Y chromosome, then you're determined to be a guy. But sometimes guys might have more X chromosomes and Y chromosomes. It gets kind of messy. But then it's also like there are some people who are born intersex. and intersex is what we've known as like hermaphrodites was the phrase beforehand, but then hermaphrodites got used as a derogatory term, so the community was like, can you not call this that? Can we just be intersex? Because that's literally what it is. You're like in the intersection between male and female. You might have both genitalia.
Oh, so that's the politically correct term for hermaphrodite.
Yeah, or has become.
Oh.
So when you see the I, that's what that means in the LGBTQIPPA.
Right.
That's what it is.
I get really confused with this because it feels like, honestly, every 2 weeks it feels like there's something new that is the new politically correct way to say something. That
so term that I never even thought was like offensive. Like I didn't know hermaphrodite was an offensive term.
Yeah, I thought it was that's what it was.
That was the term for something like that.
But then you got to remember, like, y'all aren't hermaphrodites. So somebody you might not think that it is. But then if you are a hermaphrodite and somebody finds out that you're a hermaphrodite, like when they started saying that, Ciara was one. Do you remember that? Like all back in 2004 or something. And it was like, it was like a rumor that went around, and it was like, oh my God, that's the reason why she dances so late. And there was like all that justification. And so if you are that, then you're just like, so you're implying that this person is less of a person because they may be a hermaphrodite. And then suddenly you feel like your identity is questioned. So it always makes sense. And like one of the reasons why I think people are now coming to see the LGBTQIAPP.
Are you adding letters on purpose? Or
No,
that's
literally.
It's QIAPP.
I didn't know about the P.
PAA, sorry.
There are 2 A's?
There are 2 A's.
Wasn't it just LGBT?
Asexual.
Yeah, no, that's done.
It was LGBT,
that done.
and then it's LGBTQ, which is
plus.
What is it? Queer?
Queer, yeah. Queer or questioning. So it can have 2 Qs sometimes. So some people might be questioning their...
How do you keep track?
I keep track by remembering all the people that I know that identify as those labels. Okay. If that makes sense. So I'm just like...
you know LGBTQIPPA.
I know everybody from that spectrum. But the conversation, if it helps, the most recent conversation that I've been having in my circles, like... for those that study like gender diversity overseas, like the academics are thinking about how inaccessible the LGBTQ plus term is. And I've been wondering like what a new phrase might be. So the new phrase might be, I mean, I'm advocating for it, gender and sexual diversity, which is just GSD. And that covers basically everybody and those that we haven't yet figured out yet. Because there are still some people who are just like, I have no idea what I am, but I don't feel like I fit any of those. So you can keep adding letters, but they still don't match me.
But that's what I don't understand. Like, I'm still finding it hard to grasp that gender and sexuality is different,
Yeah.
And then, like, because I never struggle with my gender or sexuality. Being a straight man, good kudos on me for that.
Okay.
In terms of not struggling.
Okay. I would like to hope that nobody would struggle, but yeah.
When you're saying that there are people that just genuinely do not know what they are, that is, I can't understand, like...
Can't relate.
And I know, like, there are, like, 63 options. And you literally cannot...
You agree with that, right?
What?
The whole 63 pronouns or whatever?
Genders.
The gender pronouns, yeah.
I didn't know that there were 63. I knew some. I mean, I
might
do my own research to find out more.
70, no. But anyway, but yeah.
Because I know Z.
Anyway, continue what you were saying.
I just don't understand how you cannot fit into
but that's
anything.
That's the thing. Like, this is real personal. Like, gender politics and sexuality politics are very individual. And lucky for you, like, the society that we live in is pretty much designed for people who feel like they fit to be seen as the normal or to be seen as the ideal. So anybody who doesn't feel like they fit often have to fit themselves into those boxes or chip away pieces of themselves to fit. What we luckily have now is like this burgeoning idea of identity and conversations that can help people be like, actually, I've never felt like that suited me or I connected with that. What do I connect with? And might meet somebody else who has gone through something different or gone through something similar and been like, you don't connect either? Wow, that's great. Let's talk about our disconnect. Let's figure out where we can sit. And that's kind of what it is.
Okay, so I although I said this already, right, I still am confused as, like, just because you don't feel something, it doesn't mean you aren't that thing. Like, if I wake up tomorrow and I feel disconnected from the black community, it doesn't make me not black, right?
That's just true.
Right. So then it kind of opens the door to, like, so then what about, for example, there was I don't know if you saw this, Kofi, but there was a guy that was 60 years old but he felt like a 9-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and the thing is I mean, I guess it sounds far-fetched because we're not accustomed to it. But how is that different from, you know, for example, transgender identifying as something you never necessarily were? For example, a man identifying as a woman, etc.
I guess for me, like age and race comes with history. Age comes with time. Gender doesn't necessarily come with that. Like those things aren't already assigned. So you may be born, you would be born with a penis.
Yeah.
But then that doesn't necessarily mean that you will become a masculine representing person or a masculine expressing person. And it's very individual. Whereas if you're a black man, you're born within the black community and have to take on that context. If you're an old man, you're born and have lived a certain amount of time and have to live in that context. I guess what we have been doing is assuming that gender and sexuality are similar to race and are similar to age, and putting them in that same category, whereas it requires more thought and more undoing and unpacking because it's more individual.
So if somebody said that they don't identify as a black person and they want to be identified as white, what would you say? You would say that doesn't make any sense?
I would say that that's their choice. I may not necessarily agree with it, but
would you identify would you identify them as a white person because they asked you to? Or would you say no?
Again, if it's their choice, then as I am, I'd have no choice but to. I'd be like, okay, that's how you identify yourself. However, do you realize how problematic this is? Like, you are literally picking up somebody else's culture and somebody else's experiences and claiming them as your own, though you'll never go through that.
That girl didn't do that, though, racial something.
Yeah, those else. Right. And so did another girl that's now doing like this whole Barbie girl thing. Did you see her? She's like in Germany, I think. She was like a model, and now she's like putting like double F's breast implants.
Oh yeah.
What? Like melanated her skin, and she's like, I'm going to be a beautiful black Barbie doll. And you're just like, please sit down and shut up. Because even if you pick up those elements of a culture, that does not make you identifiable to that culture. However, if you're not picking up elements of different gender expressions, you are just expressing yourself the way you are. So that's where there is a difference. I hope that makes sense. Right, because
before you go say your point, Kofi, like when I hear that somebody grew up a male and they say that they felt a connection with women and they identified as women, as a woman, right, in their mind, I'm like, how do you know? You've never been both that you can decide that, you know? So then it's like...
But then there's also gender, because what we also don't allow for in our present world is the exploration of expression. So people assume that you're supposed to know, and not everybody does. So those who don't will sometimes pick up elements of asexuality, which is like when you're not attracted to anybody, or might pick up elements of femme presentation, which is when you're like slightly more female, and try to see if that suits them most. It's like putting on those hats or putting on those clothes to see if you can find yourself. If that doesn't work, you should have the right to put that down and be like, actually, that's also not my expression. But at least I tried, or at least I experimented with it. Let me keep looking for myself till we get to a point where we all feel comfortable. Is kind of what I look for.
All right. Just gonna go back a little bit. You were saying that even though you don't think you can actually, just paraphrasing, but you don't think you can actually be trans race, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. I really don't.
So where's the line drawn? Like, I don't have much of an opinion on the whole LGB, etc. plus. But I think if you are a male and you don't feel comfortable in your body as a male and you want to be considered a woman, by all means, that's cool.
Right.
So where's the line drawn? As in, I'm not happy. This is not real, but I'm not happy as a black man. That sounds so bad to say.
No, but say it.
I'm not happy. I'm happy as a black man.
I just use that as the Instagram.
I want
anyway.
Right.
Kofi for president. I'm not happy as a black man.
I want to be an Asian. I want to be a white. But where's the line drawn then? I don't understand what you're saying. Race is history, age is time. But at the same time, isn't it about what makes the individual happy? Or contented, comfortable?
I think... let me figure out the thoughts in my head. Okay. So with race, you are born into a community. You will face certain amount of disadvantages or privileges based on what community you're a part of. You cannot remove that or replace that, because at the end of the day, your skin is your skin. And the societal structures that are in place. However, like, I understand why people might want to. Like, people might see Eurocentricity is a thing. People might see somebody who's white on TV and they look like their life is so much better, and they're just like, okay, I really want to do that thing. I don't want to struggle the way I've had to struggle before. I really want to connect with that. For in the reverse, you might see like a non-person of color might see people of color as exotic or their culture as diverse and be like, I want that because that makes me somewhat different from being basic Mary down the road. Sorry, Mary. And and I see why people might do that, but where that becomes a problem is because you're picking up somebody else's life, and often you can be contributing to their further oppression. Whereas when it comes to gender, it's individual. It's not about whether, like, nobody else is really going to get hurt by it, if you know what I mean. So if I decided in this room with us, if I decided that I wanted to change, I wanted to be referred to as Z instead of her, I'm not hurting anybody. Nobody else is being. Z would be like a pronoun that is non-binary. Okay. So it's neither masculine nor feminine, and can be identified and can be used on like sheets. Also, like, you know how we have Miss, Mr., Mrs., all that. Right. There's Mixter, which is Mixter.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's cool. DJ Mixter, like that would be me in the world. But yeah, so again, there are lots of other reasons why people might want to be might not want to be binary, might not want to subscribe to the binary, not just because they don't feel like they connect with it, but also sometimes the idea that the government can know your genitals just by what you sign on a piece of paper can be intrusive for some people, and can also force blockages. So somebody might not get a job because they write miss, because, you know,
right. misogyny is a thing. I understand that for sure, especially on the job front. Mm-hmm. But is it like that big of a
deterrent?
Hindrance? What do you mean?
The government knowing what genitals you have, your genitalia is the word looking for. Mm-hmm. Is that big of an issue?
For some it is. For some it really is. If you
continue.
If you don't feel comfortable with that, then it feels like you're lying to yourself.
Okay, and then you said the point about, you said you might see someone on TV that's a person of color, and you might say, oh, that person so, etc., etc., etc. Don't you think it's possible that like a woman could be like, oh, these men have it so easy, or a man may be like, oh, women get free drinks at bars. I want to be a woman, I want to be a man.
Because then that's gender fluidity, right? Where you could say that you're one thing one day, then the next day or something else.
You can identify as something else.
So, but isn't that similar in a sense? I don't understand gender fluidity at all. Like, is it how I feel today, or is it what I want to take advantage of? Because I feel sometimes it's like what I want to take advantage of.
More often than not, it's what I feel today. And okay, so like when we look at the structure of how our society privileges men over women, if that was the conversation, I feel like we'd have a lot less trans women or people of trans experience who are now women, because then it'd be like, why would you want to? And that's also another conversation that happens within the LGBTQ community, like people plus community. People are always like, well,
PPA, anyway.
All the plus.
right.
And,
all of them. GDS, right? The GDS.
All the GDS. Yeah, let's just do GDS. That makes me happy. Yeah. Okay, the GDS community. We talk a lot about like, what does it mean? Can somebody give up their privilege? So like Chimamanda got under hellfire. Who? Chimamanda, do you know? She's like she's a writer. She's a literary writer. She's from, I think it's South Africa, but I could be very wrong. She's pretty big. She is an advocate as well. And she spoke about trans women, and was basically, oh my gosh, I don't want to paraphrase her because this is pretty important. Can I do research?
You can, yeah, of course, as long as you have data, because down here I don't get Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I totally have data.
I didn't give you the Wi-Fi password anyway.
It's okay.
You're like not even. I feel like you're not even welcome in my house. I didn't give you the password.
Well, you gave me water.
Levi got it.
Yeah.
Levi
was on it.
No, my man's a dog, boy.
You know what I mean? He's like,
I'll keep it for yourself, boy. Yo.
Oh my gosh, y'all are the worst.
Oh, wild. But
I'm looking for it so that I can help.
Yeah.
This is
No. I do want you to. That's why I have my laptop, but my laptop doesn't get any Wi-Fi down here. So.
All right. So Chimamanda, found
say
it.
who is she again?
Chimamanda Adichie. She's like, all right. Chimamanda. I can't pronounce her middle name. I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
Chimamanda
Ngozi. Ngozi. Wait, Ngozi, right?
Yeah.
Ngozi. Yeah, I know.
I know.
Yeah,
Ngozi.
Adichie. And she, like, she's done loads of stuff. She's mostly a writer. She's mostly known as a writer.
Mm-hmm.
And she's done like, I read one of her books in the summer last year. I can't remember its name right now. It's usually her stuff is really about representation and inclusiveness and that kind of stuff, and she's pretty massive for it. And she did like a Channel 4 interview, and she was basically musing over people of trans experiences if like they're like I really want to be articulate on this. So
yeah, I guess it's good to get her.
Chimamanda Channel 4. She
sounds like the person that was in Beyonce's
Formation.
I think so. Yeah.
She didn't write for it, but she's been on, you know, the song Flawless.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She spoke on that. Yeah.
She
that's
spoke
how I know
on
her
that.
name. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Right. She said some really progressive things, like how black women's hair is political and stuff like that. So she speaks out a lot about black women and feminism and that kind of stuff, and is very heavily lauded for that. She's also said things about pregnancy, not wanting to perform pregnancy, and that we are forced to perform pregnancy and all that kind of stuff. But then when it came to the transgendered issue, she was basically...
There's a lot of questions I have in my head from
I will not remember.
But no, yeah.
What?
The thing is that there will be a 3-hour podcast. So anyways,
you can always invite me back.
Yeah, no, of course. But yeah.
Like she did a lot of... I'm only seeing like her clarifications. Basically, I guess to put it simply, she was saying that not black women, that cis women, cis is what you're called if you identify as your gender and sexuality at birth.
And who decided this? This is LGBT that decided about the cis thing. Because that's new to me. I didn't know about it before this year, I think.
Well, no, it's been in circulation for a while. I don't feel like it was the LGBTQ overlords that were just like, we're gonna start calling them cis.
Okay.
In case you didn't know, we have overlords. I'm joking.
Okay, cool.
I hope so.
But
Right.
But yeah, how else do we keep our agenda up to date? So she was basically saying that cis women will have a very different experience to trans women, and so. There was kind of that conversation about whether a conversation transpired about whether people who existed as cis before and then went on the trans experience, if they can just pick up privileges,
right? And
that's not necessarily the way that it works, because you don't just pick up the privilege that you've had. So I guess she was kind of saying that people who are on the trans women experience might be more privileged in society than women who were born cis.
I would assume that, to be quite honest.
Because and in some spaces people do bring their I can't really speak on it because I myself, I can't even say that I'm cis because I'm kind of going through like this whole questioning phase.
So you're a Q.
I'm two Qs. I am queer and I'm questioning.
There are 2 Qs, by the way, Kofi.
There are 2 Qs.
Yeah, you didn't know.
I'm queer and questioning. So my sexuality is queer and my
why is
gender.
queer? I actually, honest to God, again, probably sound real ignorant, but I thought queer was a flamboyant straight man.
Hey.
I thought that was queer.
Because of queer for the straight guy,
yes.
right? Yeah. Queer for the straight guy changed the entire definition of what queer is. Anyway.
Yeah. So we had queer used to be like this really offensive term that you'd use towards the LGBT community. Like if you saw any guys that was flamboyant, you'd be like, oh, he's just a queer boy. So kind of like how we got Bulla. He's a Bulla boy.
Queer is offensive?
It used to be.
Oh.
It used to be. By the time we were born, it was kind of reclaimed.
Oh.
And so that's basically what it's been since. Like people have just like, all right, if we're not necessarily identifying, like we will. I guess I'm more pan than I am queer. So pan is like I would date anybody. So whatever your gender are, I would be down for having a relationship with you. The tagline for Pan is hearts, not parts.
So I just laughed at
It's okay. Kofi looks so confused. I feel like I've broken Kofi.
Yeah, every new word Kofi hears, Kofi's just trying to like.
What is this? And it's true. Like, and also like in Barbados, we don't have those kind of conversations.
We
like
don't.
you either straight or you gay. You either man or you woman.
I can totally understand and agree with bi, but no, I'm assuming there's a difference between bi and pan.
Yeah, pan would be like, bi usually means that you wouldn't date somebody with trans experience. So it's more like you believe in the gender binary.
That's so specific though.
Basically, bi means that you believe in the gender binary and you believe there's either one or two. I would either date male or female. Pan is like, I don't just believe in the gender binary. I would date male, female. I would date anybody of the experience in between. I would like all that. All of that posse.
Kofi is so fun. No, I'm just looking at him genuinely learning these things for the first time at the expression. Because I had these same expressions too. I had somebody that's pan described to me what pan was and the difference between pan and bisexual, etc.
I mean, I understand it, but I mean, once again, having never gone through a struggle with my identity, it just seems like such a specific thing to create a whole term for, as in like. It's like a subgenre of bi, pretty much. Then
could be.
I never know bi people wouldn't date trans people.
Some people, well, yeah, they wouldn't necessarily.
So if a straight man, sorry for cutting you out. This is a question just off my head. If I'm a straight man and I date this trans woman, as in a man that became a woman,
we would consider you
straight.
Yeah.
So why is that still straight, but bi is no longer bi?
It would be straight, or if you wanted to, you could put yourself under the queer category if you wanted to. Like, nobody else is going to put you there. But nobody else is going to pick you up and be like, Kofi, you belong here. For the most part, trans women, like, to be a trans woman is just to be a woman, but have a different experience to a cis woman.
I got to get Pandos for Kofi.
Yeah, that's very funny. That's very funny.
No, but I want to ask you a question. I would like you to be honest and kind of just be in the other person's shoes for a bit, Luci. Other person being people that are kind of not as informed about this stuff as you are. Yeah. Doesn't this seem a bit chaotic?
But isn't individuality chaotic?
But that's okay. Well, I didn't really want to get into what I think because I mean I can say what I think anytime, but you're here and I want to hear your views and stuff, right? But identity isn't subjective. It's not. Identity is you have a subjective rough draft of what you want to be, you want to be that thing, and then you go into the world and the way society sees you, there is a negotiation between you and how society perceives you about what you are. You can't just wake up and be whatever you want to be. For example, if I think that I'm the nicest person in the world, but everybody else around me thinks that I'm an ass, then chances are what my perception isn't necessarily true. So if you just wake up and say you're this thing, but don't really take into account society's perception of, then it's a bit
confusing.
It's a bit confusing. Yeah.
But like as you rightly say, we have to negotiate with society,
right?
And that's what the LGBTQ and all those additional phrases are. It's a renegotiation with society. Because if you start peeling back, like where our idea that there were only two genders, or that our only correct expression of sexuality should be heterosexual, that started after a certain point in time. So beforehand, there was a lot of representation, like there were different expressions of gender and diversity in both gender and sexuality. And that wasn't really up for debate. Suddenly we had this intrusion or this, it was an intrusion of here is how we're supposed to live. This is a societal structure that is supposed to be from now on. And that denial of that, like centuries later, the denial of that, and as we move towards human rights and looking at the fact that actually at no time did we just become a binary race. Right. At no time did that actually happen. We still had there were what was known as First Nation people. First Nation people would know as two-spirited people. Two spirits would be somebody who I guess sometimes we would call them might call them transgendered now. Like every ancient culture has had a representation of sexuality and diversity that does not fit just being heterosexual or just being cis. And so if we know that in ancient times, it's kind of interesting that somehow in between we forgot that. And now that we're having to renegotiate getting back to a place where those people who existed before can now be seen as equal or as worthy of existence, that's where the negotiation takes place.
Mm-hmm. I just feel like it's too much. No. Like, I swear to God, in January it was LGBT.
It wasn't, but okay.
I'm obviously not remember, but I mean from what I'm seeing, even from like scrolling through Facebook, I'm seeing like a lot of arguments or whatever, YouTube videos or whatever. LGBT. Q get added on somewhere in March or whatever.
Right.
And throwing Z and other letters, and it is hard to grasp because I feel like a couple years ago, like I cannot understand bisexuality a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I cannot understand being trans until American Horror Story season 5.
Yeah.
Cool. I understand that now. I wrap my head around it. I know it's like, no, Breeze, there's 12 other things you need to understand. No, are you offending people?
But that's the power of representation. And also, there is an understanding in the LGBT community, especially for those who are of like the academia or activists or lobbyists who are trying to just make sure that people have the right to exist, that there are going to be people who do not know. And ignorance exists. That doesn't mean that you're a bad person or that you don't care. As long as you out the place not genuinely persecuting somebody or making their life hell because they don't identify the way you identify, more than likely you sitting on the right side of LGBT and Q issues. So it's like we're getting to a point now where we can represent all those differences. And that's why we're seeing more of it, or more people have access to it. Also, Barbados is like not one of the hottest when it comes to gender conversations or sexual or sexuality conversations. We are really that progressive in that front. So the fact that we now have the internet, access to the internet and online, we're seeing these conversations that have been had in what used to be academic circles. So now that there's an accessibility, it means that we can inform ourselves. And sometimes that can feel like overload, but most of the time it's just good to know that you, at the end of the day, just making sure that somebody has or believes that somebody has the right to live, the right to express themselves, because you're not going to get hurt by it. And that's basically where it goes.
Yeah, and but my thing is that, like, how do I say this? How come it seems like the LGBT, how come it seems that the GDS people are not very tolerant of the fact that so many things are changing amongst themselves before they can communicate it with everybody else, and then word spreads. So when we are like a bit ignorant to these things, we get chastised for it. It's not even that they're kind of tolerant of the fact that we are ignorant. They just kind of just go one time and say, you're this phobic, you're that phobic, you're
But all right, because of how our world is set up, if you are of the GDS, more than likely you're going to experience some kind of persecution that could end up with you losing your life.
Right.
And that is the level of stakes it is for people of GDS experience. So when somebody who you may be affectionate towards or may care about or comes from the community that you love doesn't care or doesn't want to listen, then you have no other words but to say, you're not listening to me, and you not listening to me can result in me dying or somebody else that I love that is of this community dying. So that's where the violent reaction or the closed down reaction may come from. Of course, it's exactly like people having different styles of dealing with racism. Some people will look at somebody, a white person who might say something problematic, and be like, let me sit down and talk to you about why what you said was problematic. Another person might be like, look, fuck you and everything you stand for, and I hope that your house burned down and you only got a cockroach.
Right.
And both are valid experiences. Both are valid reactions to meeting somebody who is about your persecution or may enable your persecution. Unfortunately, people often online might see more of the chastising group of people than those that have the patience, and also unfortunately somebody who might have the patience over a period of time might get that patience tried and might end up losing that good part of themselves that want to sit down and have that conversation.
Yeah, I'm not, and the thing is, I'm not seeing patience anymore, like at all. Like you see this emergence of like I guess these social justice warrior groups on social media. They have a tendency to jump down your throat, which honestly would be a very good segue into life in leggings, but we're not gonna get there yet. There's one thing else more thing I want to talk about.
We're getting there today.
Huh?
We're getting there today.
I mean, but okay. So on today in the chat, right? I asked Kofi and the guy that isn't here that usually is our sound guy or whatever, if they feel that they're homophobic, right? Because homophobia, sometimes I feel as if the word phobia gets thrown around a lot, and then it just made me look at myself, and I kind of wondered if maybe I don't know what phobia means, right? Because if I say something, it doesn't mean that I am afraid of homosexuals. I may just disagree with something that they may be talking about or they may believe in, blah, 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 right? So what is homophobia to you?
Homophobia to me, all right. Homophobia to me is the idea that the whole gender GDS community doesn't have a right to exist or express themselves in the way that you want them to. And where the fear comes from might be that you are afraid that they threaten your own position in society. So as a heterosexual cis man especially, you would get more privilege. So sometimes people are afraid of that privilege being taken away, even if they don't know that that's what they're being afraid. That is what they're afraid of, and that is where the phobia term came from. It's not necessarily that you think, oh my God, there's a gay man, I'm going to go hide inside my closet and ironic, but yeah, or under my bed. That's
I love the fact that you're the one making the gay joke. I love that.
That's my whole life.
Did you turn it off?
Yeah, you're good.
Nah,
you can hear me?
Yeah. Right. Okay, so I get what you're saying. Okay, so I had this same conversation with someone that you know actually. And I asked if every person that is uncomfortable with some aspects of homosexuality, if they are homophobic. And if there's a difference between homophobia and just being uncomfortable.
I think that, okay, this is where gender and sexual conversations mirror that of race conversations. If you meet somebody who may not hate people of color, but may be uncomfortable with aspects of people of color, that is offensive. You see?
To you?
I think so.
I understand what you're saying. I am not 1,000% sure I agree, but like a 75%, I agree.
Like, you meet somebody who is just like, so the way Kofi laughs might in some circles, or the way in which Kofi speaks might in some circles be classed as lesser.
But is that a race thing or a cultural thing?
It could be both. There is like both come into context, because also being of like different nationalities can result to people persecuting you.
If you heard a Bayesian white person saying they don't like people who catch Zedars. That is not directly. They're saying they're loud. That's not directly saying I don't like black people. They're loud, but you will still feel a sort of way.
But there's a classist undertone there.
Right? Yeah, I understand.
There's like this idea that you are somehow lesser because of the transportation that you have, which is not what I have.
I understand what you mean, yeah.
And therefore, you're putting somebody on an.
But still, I think like racist is too heavy a term to drop on that. So scenario.
Prejudice.
Yeah, prejudice.
Racial prejudice. If that's where you feel comfortable.
I don't know if it's okay. Well, if I haven't really been around people that are in that culture a lot, right? For example, one of the reasons why I've never went to Harbor Lights is just my perception of Harbor Lights is that it's a lot of Bayesian whites, and they have their own subculture, right? Yeah. That's not even argued. I mean, they have their own subculture. I haven't been part of that subculture in years, so I don't really know if I would really connect with them. So it's not necessarily that I have anything against them. I just would feel uncomfortable. I would kind of feel like the third wheel and on a date then.
Yeah.
So if a white person says that about people that I guess catch the van, because there's van culture, would that be like seen as racist or racial prejudice?
I think because they have the privilege. That's what we're looking for. Like they're above. Like as a person from van culture going in harbor, like saying, okay, that's maybe not for me, but it seems different for me from the standpoint of a white person driving a truck. Oh, those people in that van, they're so loud. That just seems like you're looking down on something.
But then, yeah, it's this idea that you are looking down, and when it comes to the phobias, when it comes to homophobia, if you feel uncomfortable with someone, then that means that the way that they're expressing themselves feels like a threat to you, and it's about examining where that threat comes from and how that threat can manifest. So if you feel threatened about someone's identity, then you can see how easily somebody else who might feel threatened, who is a slightly more aggressive person, might take an aggressive action.
Okay.
I want to bring a scenario to you. This is a scenario stuff on your chat.
Okay, well, because I want to get to your thing too.
Right, but she said that. Is this homophobic? Then there was I went on a cruise, Harbor White, coincidentally. Right. And there's this one guy, like, we're acquainted. I'm aware he's gay. Like, we've had conversation and stuff before. I don't have a problem with gay at all or whatever. But we were drinking or whatever, and we were talking about something. And then he suddenly went, dude, daring to straight pull my drink. And I was like...
He said straight pull, right?
Straight pull his drink.
Now go oh wait, I can't make
so messy. No, you can make them.
Anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm just gonna make a noise.
Right. So I was like, it was funny. So we were legit having a conversation, and he just like, bum. So like, if he wants, I guess. And then he went, and I guess I'm never looking at someone's face normally. So I like, look, when he was like, no, if you dare someone to do something, you have to look at them while they're doing it. I just felt so strange. Like, I wasn't even like I felt like he was hitting on me. It just like. I felt so uncomfortable. Is that in that aspect homophobic?
I don't know if it would be homophobic because you're not then being like, you didn't then make the reaction of like, oh my God, you're the worst guy ever for doing this to me. But it might be just that, again, because we live in a society which is like heteronormative, you might not have ever had that experience before, or you probably never had that experience before. So having to deal with that discomfort might, like, you're being challenged. Your heteronormativity, the way that you feel that you are, is being challenged.
I don't even think that it was like I felt less straight. It just was super weird. I was like, I asked because I don't think it was uncomfortable because he's gay. I think if literally any human did that, I would be like, what the fuck is really happening? That is so if women did that, I would be like, what is happening right now? I'm really confused.
Then it should be fine. I mean. It feels like a come on, but what the hell do I know?
Okay,
I'm really bad at society.
Let's take out Kofi now. So Kofi, you said that if what I asked in the chat a while ago, right? If one of us were gay, by the way, all of my friends think that if anybody's gay, it's me in the chat, right? I don't know why, and that's a different conversation.
Okay.
Right, but yeah, right. But I asked in the chat how they would feel if one of the fellas in the chat turned out to be gay, right? Kofi said it would be a betrayal of trust. So you could explain.
Yeah, because I know these guys for 10 years. We've slept over at villas together. I'm not saying this in the sense that like one of the men would hit on us or something, so or like rub it on we bought and go home and jerk off with the factory or anything along them lines. It's just the fact that like we've been friends for so long, and like you ain't ever like say, my dog, I that's such a weird way to talk about this conversation. But yeah, I don't know how the conversation happens, but yeah, I think I gave me or whatever.
That's sometimes legit how it goes down. It's like, big man.
In 10 years, like it never crossed your mind to say.
But how does that make you feel away about your trust with?
Because it feels like you've been like, especially like in our circle, it feels like you have just been lying about a lot of stuff.
What if they didn't know until later? Like, because some people literally don't know that they're gay because they wouldn't have been attracted to anybody who was of same sex. But then they meet somebody who, for some reason, they have that connection.
How romantic.
Okay. Sorry, it could be. I don't know. It depends on how you feel. But for some reason, they have that connection, and then they might want to tell you. Mm-hmm. Like, would that then still be a betrayal?
I am not. I just... well, it's just the length of time that has me... I, once again, no idea how homosexuality works. I just assume... Well, I have never, like, sat down in bed and, like, I might be straight. I have never had to think I was straight. I just like women.
Right.
So to understand that someone is struggling, that they might like men, I just assume like when you're gay, you're gay. Like there were a couple of gay guys in my primary school class. There was no question about it. In primary school, everyone was fully aware they were gay. There are no two prophetic is not the word. Very open gay men.
Right.
So like I don't understand how you can be a quote unquote straight man for all of these years, and then all of a sudden you get, it just feels like you was lying to me about something somewhere along the lines.
Not necessarily, because then people could, all right, not saying that that's not like real, and that is real, but some people might very well know that they present as very masculine men, know that they're like, they go to the gym, they do all that serious shit, they like, I don't know, drink protein shakes. They're real. Right. They're real men.
Those are the two.
They drink protein shakes.
Yeah. Real
things
men.
I do neither.
That's
of,
all you need. Right.
I've never had protein shake.
Of course.
What is a gym?
Of course, I'm being hella general, but like they perform masculinity to the finest point that it can be performed at,
right.
And they in themselves don't think that they could be gay. All right, because again, we might have the preconception that gayness looks a certain way. And then later on down the road, they might actually meet somebody probably at the same gym. And his name might be Jim. And then you're just like, okay, Jim, I let you real bad. I feel like I talked to you upon a level. And then Jim kiss you one day and it's like, actually, I didn't hate that. And then that means that he, with all his straightness, has to go and sit down inside his bedroom and be like, wait, what was that? And why did I not hate it? Like, and it happens like that. Like literally, that's a story that has happened 100 times, 1,000 times over. And then when he figures it out, he might want to go and be like, but Kofi, brother, I got something to talk about though. And I'm really sure how you gonna react, because I'm really sure how I react into it neither. But
that's why I'm saying it sounds very real, very plausible. But from my perspective, where I knew I was straight before I kissed a girl. No girl made me turn straight. I didn't not know what's going on. You were like women, yeah.
You lucky.
But the thing is that my trust in my friends, and none of it was based on who they like though. Like, and it wouldn't rock my trust in them or anything. It's just That's
why I told you, if it was like someone that I met last year, I would not mind. But it's just the length of time that like we form all these bonds and like.
And I guess you guys had conversation about your attraction towards women.
Right. That's another thing. When I specify in this group chat, that's like 80% of the conversation.
Yeah.
It's like, what was really happening?
I don't know. To me, that's insignificant in the reasons why I like confide in you or talk to you but I am different because my longest friend in life is gay, and he's been gay for like since I could see the tendencies looking back now.
That's what I mean.
And like
I can
for instance,
understand,
like 4 or 5 years old, right?
That I can understand, and that's perfectly cool. That doesn't bother me. Not bother, but that doesn't make me wonder what's going on.
But some people know. Some people, like, I knew I was attracted to women when I was in primary school, like from about 6. Like my best friend, I was just like, you're really pretty. Blushes for forever. My first crush was a girl as opposed to a guy, and then I had a crush on a guy, and I actually had the reverse. I was actually like, what the hell is going on? I thought you were gay. Girl, what's going on? Like, so can we talk about this? Panics. But yeah, trust me. So it happens on all levels, but this is very similar to a conversation that I was actually having with Levi about how, like, so somebody who is transgendered, you go on a date with them. At what point should they disclose that they are of trans experience? And whether we have like any right as cis people or cis passing people to dictate that. Like, would you feel threatened? I also had this conversation with like a community, a LGBTQ like workshop that I did a couple years back, where people from the queer community were there. I was just like, nah, you'd have to tell me straight up. That way I get to decide whether I date you or not, and all that kind of thing. So that's another element of that like trust conversation.
So what do you think? Do you think that they should?
I feel like my perception is more, I'd like to hope that if I'm building a relationship with you, you'd feel safe enough to tell me. But if you don't feel safe enough to tell me because of all the reasons in society that might dictate, because there's also like the reaction clause, which states, and there was a gay clause as well, which used to state that like if somebody makes a move on you, like if a man makes a move on you and you react to them and kill them, there's like a legal clause that is almost like an insanity plea. Yeah, this is a thing. Okay. And it was a thing. Same. And then there's a trans similar one. There's one that is for like trans reaction murder. Yeah, trans reaction murder or violence. Trans reaction murder or violence. So we would like that exists. So when you are of trans experience and you know that clause exists, that your murderer might be able to get off without facing any consequences by any justice system, then I can understand why you might never want to tell nobody. Like, I get it.
But if you're not comfortable, knowing the circumstances and knowing the history of trans people and when they come out, then maybe you're not ready to date someone if you're not ready to say. Because I think it goes both ways, right? I think the same way that we need to be very accepting of trans people and the LGBTQ community, all that stuff. They also need to be accepting of the fact that a lot of people that are straight would prefer to have the power of choice to say, if you are trans, I do not want to be with you. So, but to take away someone's power by withholding that information, I think that's wrong.
I don't know if it's wrong because that's the society we live in now. I'd like that we could get to a place where people of trans experience have the same or equal and a balanced societal experience. If we were on the same level, then I'd agree with you 100%.
But it's still it's manipulating someone if you
most of the time it's just survival though.
Yeah, but if it's survival, then why don't you just not be with the person as opposed to then lie to them because you're not comfortable telling them?
But then that means that somebody that you might be attracted to could very violently hurt you. So then you will more than likely not date anyone ever. And that's a pretty tragic way to live.
But, well, I guess. But, it would be very selfish then if you choose the opposite and just go and date people and not tell them, although deep down you may know there's a chance they may not want to be with you if they knew. And
I wish, I agree. As I said, I want to agree with that. Like, if we lived in a society which was safe for trans people and they could come and be like, look, this is who I am. And we wouldn't have the kind of reaction as like you are somehow lesser, or you are somehow less woman or less man because of your experience, then I would be like, yeah, you should be able to tell them. Which is why I say I would like to hope that I could build a relationship where somebody could tell me, because I would prefer to know.
Are trans women?
Yeah, considered to be women.
So then why do we label them trans women if they're just women?
Because you've had a different experience of your womanhood. So like how we have black women have a very different experience from white women, and it can be helpful to have that precursor when you're having specific conversations about your identity or your intersections.
What is Caitlyn Jenner's gender?
Caitlyn Jenner would be Caitlyn Jenner would be gendered female, I think. Is that not what
I'm not a trans woman.
She's a woman of trans experience. So yeah, trans woman.
But she has her.
But it's not gonna be like TF. It will just be like F.
So normal trans women are TF?
No, I'm just saying like
now you got me.
No.
Trans femaleism.
But trans female wouldn't exist on like your card. Right. You just have F.
But she has a penis though. I think she's a very.
Unless she would have cut it off very recently, but I think she still has a penis. Yeah.
I never understood her because she's a lesbian.
Is she attracted to women?
I read that.
Yeah, she's attracted to women.
She's I just find that so. Once again, I agree. Not agree. I understand being trans 1,000%. Like, you don't feel comfortable in your body, you want to do whatever procedure, be you. Do you. It's just odd to hear a trans woman being gay.
It happens. It happens. Like, if I tell you the amount of, like, cross relationships, because we imagine, right, Kofi, that everything is heteronormative. We imagine that at the end of the day, like we even have this conversation with gay couples. You look at male, a man who is dating a man, and you say which one is the woman, knowing full well that neither two of them are women. Like, and so we always assume there has to be something that mirrors what we know as a heterosexual relationship, because for some reason in our society we valued heterosexual relationships as the most balanced, as the most equal, or the most important, when you start looking at gender politics, that's where you start like undoing that and realizing that two men can exist in their masculinity and still formulate love. Two women, same way.
Mm-hmm.
When you said cross, you reminded me, but the same, not to rewind, but the same Caitlyn Jenner thing is a cross. There are two gay men, Bud and Lou. Bud is a straight everyday
Well, you anyway.
masculine male, right? But Lou is more effeminate. Lou cross dresses. Is Lou a trans woman or is he just a cross dressing male?
He could just be. Oh shoot! What is it? This term always.
If you come with
me.
another name, I'm jumping out the window.
I'm so sorry.
I'm right behind you, babe.
And I actually want you to take your time.
Oh my gosh, what is it? Eddie Izzard is one. Transvestite. Thank you so much.
What?
I just guessed.
Thank you so much. Transvestite. Could just be somebody who feels comfortable. Well, Eddie Izzard is now transgender. So then, but yeah.
So then, Caitlyn Jenner will be a transvestite.
That's what
if he has a penis, then.
Because
he just got a weave and bubbies.
She makes the decision. I mean, just bubbies. Like,
no, if you just get
did
implants.
Did she do the traumatic procedure of getting her chest cut open and then implants and like put in?
Yeah, like all women.
All right, that's pretty. No, that's still pretty traumatic.
But yeah, it's traumatic. But does that determine what like?
That's what I'm saying.
But at the end of the day, guys, like the conversation, real simple, is that if they say that this is what they identify as, that's what they identify as.
Are you? It's simple, but are you sure that is like? There, society needs some kind of order.
Yeah.
And if everybody just wakes up and says, "I feel this way, therefore I am this way," then it's kind of like, where does it goes back to the same question you asked Kofi, where do we draw the line?
But that's why I keep telling y'all, well, that's why I said earlier, the order that was in place upon us is false, right? And that's a myth that we need to undo. And when we do, we'd figure out an order that is a lot more inclusive and a lot more progressive, rather than assuming that this is simple, this is easy, this fits everybody. It doesn't.
But this is the thing, though. Well, in any society, they're going to be, not everyone is going to be included. I mean, it's very.
But why not?
Well, because everybody is different, and there's always going to be an outlier, and we're going to try and force them in. But then this is what happens.
But then surely, as a progressive community or a progressive society, or the more we strive towards progression, the more we'd understand that inclusiveness is the better way to go. So, and it doesn't have to necessarily be as complicated as we're making it.
But I mean, you say that, but then it's the LGBTQIPPA A plus Q.
Exactly.
Then it's like,
or GDS. You see, like the more we discover one aspect that becomes an issue and we talk about it, the more we can find the solutions within the community.
And then the 63 pronouns, and then you can at your whim you can change which pronoun you are. I mean, that sounds very individualistic, right? And society doesn't necessarily function just by what one individual says, though. Yeah. I mean, there has to be some kind of like democracy. Like, in order for order, people need to come and say, it's like, okay, so for example, the gender pronouns, right? It's like they came up with these words that we are now to use in our normal parlance, right? But then that's not how language works. Words, if there's a word that is introduced to the society, or there's a word that evolved in meaning, then one person says it. Eventually, if it is something that is accepted, then it spreads, and then everyone agrees that this is a word, and then it changes in the dictionary, blah blah blah. But I mean, for you to force a pronoun and say, these are the words that I demand you say, as opposed to this, or else it is deemed offensive, isn't that like kind of like a bit forced? Isn't that like inorganic?
Exactly what he's saying. I don't understand. If I'm referring to someone as they, the way say they are, they is.
They are.
Right, but I'm talking about individual.
Yeah, but you can still say they are coming.
But
that just.
They are down the road.
Is fireman an acceptable term?
Is what?
Firemen an acceptable term?
I don't know.
Firemen?
What do I know? I'm just a person trying to figure it out like y'all. But at the end of the day, like.
So you can understand. Okay. Remember that point. But you can understand if we are trying to figure it out. you are kind of trying to figure it out, and you're a part of the community. You guys have to have some kind of understanding when we are confused as hell, when we hear these things, see these things, don't know if a man with a penis but got breast implants is still considered this thing.
It's still a woman. Well, then again, with knowing that you guys, like I said, with knowing somebody is confused, you can have two kinds of reactions to it, or more than two, but most often we'd hear of two kinds of reactions, which is either the patience or the abhorrent. And that is basically how people respond to any form of social progression or any form of social rights. It's always been like that. Then there's also people that are indifferent and don't really care. There are people inside the queer community who don't care about the other half of the queer community. Like, there is a whole subsection of feminism that is trans exclusive, and like, we don't believe that trans women exist. We don't believe in that connection, and that's just as violent and just as aggressive as any other community wanting to say the same thing or questioning somebody else's identity. Like, as we go through, or as we move through time, and we use these words and we figure out which of these words are inorganic, which of these words don't work at this time, which of these phrases will be more inclusive and will help us to get to a better point where everybody will, at the end of the day, get their rights, be able to marry who they want to marry, be able to raise a child they want to raise as they want to raise it, then that's basically how we're gonna go. Yeah. But for now, we're all kind of, I guess, feeling by ear.
Yeah. You good, Kofi?
I was gonna say feeling it out too.
Feeling it out, yeah.
I hear listening, but
my head absorbing.
But I know, and it is a lot, and it is exhaustive. But it kind of always hits me whenever I'm at home and I'm thinking about gender politics. It kind of always hits me that I feel like society lied to me. I feel like somebody sold me this version of gender and identity that was a lie and told me this is what we're supposed to believe in, and that is just as and that is just as offensive or just as annoying as anything else.
But I hope that the GDS doesn't somehow formulate new lies that will be forced on us to believe
more often, because then within the GDS there's also allies. One of the A's inside the long form is allyship.
You're kidding. What is an ally?
You know what an ally is?
An ally is
like, okay, so if somebody was a race ally, what do you think that would mean?
Oh, like a white person that sympathizes.
Right.
Or empathizes with the plight, with the struggle and the plight. Same thing.
Well, I consider us allies, right? We're allies, right?
I guess. Yeah, y'all would have to figure it out.
Right? We're supporters of...
I think y'all have a little bit more undoing before you can feel like
I don't know what I am anymore.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Whatever.
Well, to me, I'm an ally.
I understand what you mean, though, Marcus, for sure.
I feel like an ally. I'm an ally.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
I can't just be a man...
You could just be a man, but are you a man that will hit a batty boy and say he head with a big rock, or are you a man that wouldn't call him a batty boy in the first place? Nah, but I like TOK
music, so that makes
I like TOK music. Can we talk about that for like a quick little second?
Yeah, let's do that.
Because damn, I'm from Barbados. I like to walk up and get on real bad. Cobbler, all the music. Sorry, I talking real loud and all I can see is the lights. But whenever I would go into any spaces and then start playing bashment and all that kind of thing and all dub, I would be one of the people that get on these stinkers, and crying because the lyrics are either homophobic, misogynistic. No, sorry, the image of that is twerking and still crying.
That is rich.
It's not okay.
That is rich.
Can somebody give us music that's not like
But I will never forget a night in jamming I was playing, and coincidentally the same gay guy from earlier was in there.
Homeboy.
And I won't say homeboy. Acquaintance.
Right.
I played Chishi Man by TOK. And this man was bawling this at top of his lungs.
I'm telling you.
I was like, you sure this is the right song that you want to sing?
We have no choice. Like, but when you are a part of it's so tragic because it's also difficult being a feminist and existing inside and wanting to listen to music. Because Collateral, have you heard Collateral?
I love the fact that is.
What's that?
I will hold your girl as collateral. No, you're not. Put her down. Behave.
I love how misogynistic that song is, and no one has shed a tear.
No, I shed tears, but while dancing, this is the thing. Like,
no one. I never heard anyone. I thought I would just one by thing. Like,
no, there are many.
The woman is a car. No,
so is that so? Wait.
Many.
So when people of the GDS community, they hear these songs, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are they supposed to respond?
Most of the time, it depends again on your culture, because you don't just come from the GDS community and that's it. You will be GDS and either part of white culture or either part of a culture of color or something like that. So you have your intersections at play, and that is reasonable. So some people will hear these songs and be like, you know, the beat banging and the thing is a rhythm, and I could really jive to this right now, and I need to get all that stress off my back so I can dance. And then some other people might be like, that song really makes me feel invaluable and like I shouldn't exist in this society. So there are, again, very different, varying reactions to pieces of work. And that's kind of where somebody would come in and be like, or somebody who like myself was an advocate would be like, okay, this song is a problem because that little girl over there wants to go and slit her wrist now because of what you've created.
If I had to be honest, I think that's where a lot of our Barbadian culture, like when it comes to men's dynamic with women, I think it comes from soca.
And then, they could examine that.
And that's all. Okay, this is what I mean.
That sounds legit.
So, soca, the genre, if you listen to a lot of the music, it's very limited to what topics they talk about, right? So it's drinks and
walk-ups.
Right. And it's very instructional too. And a lot of the instruction, the way that they're saying the instruction when it comes to dealing with women, they use a lot of derogatory, misogynistic terms.
Grabs your neck, bends you over.
Right. And if you hear these, right, and
it's a song in your head already.
Exactly,
you know it.
Yeah, there are like 5 songs, right? So if you hear these, it will be wrong for us to say that we follow the instructions of how to bend them over, whatever, but we do not also internalize how they also use these words and
into their own day-to-day life.
Yeah, and it's so, to me, it's soca, especially because soca I find is a bit more limited than a lot more genres when it comes to the topics and how they speak about women, etc. Right? So even if you look at dancehall music, and we look at how they speak about, you know, gays and stuff, it is literally hate speech. Like you could tell that the lyrics came from a man's feelings, exactly, and he took out all of his aggression in this song, saying "Kill a Chichi man." There is nothing
progressive about that at all.
Progressive, artistic. Is literally the man venting his frustration, and now we hear that, and we hear that underlying tone of aggression towards these people, and it is literal hate speech, and we internalize all of it.
You know what's really interesting? Those are kind of off.
Yeah.
I have not heard a new homophobic song in so long.
That's because of representation.
I can't think of any alkaline lyric that Bunny Batty Boys or whatever.
Well, we live in different times, boy.
We live in different
times.
And also we had like the LGBT community and advocates
dragged
a lot, not alkaline, but dragged a lot of dancehall artists, and we're just like, big man, you can't come over in more progressive countries, in developed countries. Beanie Man get dragged up. Who else get dragged up? They had another fella that his name's not on the top of my head right now. Sizzler. Thanks, voice in the back. Sizzler get dragged up, like, and they were like, if you don't change your lyrics, big man, you can't come and perform in this country. Sizzler, however, was just like, forget you. But like other artists were just like, you know what? I'm going to change my lyrics, and actually, you're right. Yeah. Maybe some of these lyrics were more representational of the time and aren't helpful for a more progressive society. And the reason why I said Barbados especially, and I could be totally wrong because I'm still trying to understand it in my head too, but it came up when I saw Life in Leggings, right? And when I saw Life in Leggings... What's that again?
Right. Life in Leggings will be explained by Luci. We're not going to get into Life in Leggings like in depth now. But let's explain what Life in Leggings is. Because I don't want to say...
Who, me?
Yeah.
Why should I explain?
Okay, I'll explain it then. It was a social media movement that started and basically highlighting a lot of the, I guess, the plight of
sexual harassment.
Yeah, sexual harassment towards women. It started on the streets. Eventually, it was sexual assault in general and also domestic violence, right? But when I saw this, it felt to me as though we have a higher incidence of domestic violence than a lot of places. Not like the highest, but it seemed like very
real common.
It's
cultural. It felt ridiculous. So then I wondered where did it come from in our culture? And the first thing that I thought of was our music is totally acceptable to talk about women and degrade them and stuff, and the fact that the way that soca is so limited to these 3-4 topics that you're going to hear misogynistic lines more often than any other genre. What is the only festival we have in Barbados? Crop Over, and that is one of the underlying messages in Crop Over. So
I think for me, like, I agree with you. I believe that what we do what our music has perpetuated the cultural thought that has allowed for gender-based violence to exist. Right. I also think that we also need to examine, because you know me, I all about going back and looking at history. So colonialism had a big impact on our gender expression, and also to bring it back to the cycle of where the conversation started. Colonialism also had a big impact on how we view gender expression, how we view sexuality, and a lot of the tribes that people, the enslaved people, were brought from had, again, diverse expressions of sexuality and gender. But once you come here and you got that almighty Bible on top of your head, then you learn that you cannot identify as that. Or you learn that a man being with a man is often seen as violence or sexual violence to display some kind of power onto you. And that becomes a part, again, of our cultural trauma and our fear. So then I get why we have violent reactions towards gay men more than gay women. I get where that fear comes from, but it's about looking at where it comes from, having those discussions, which again we don't really do in the Caribbean. Usually when it comes to somebody else's sexuality, we're just like, or gender, we're just like, man, he's just and dismiss it and don't really want to have conversations about sex altogether, and unless it is how good sex was last night. But yeah,
I found it odd you actually just mentioned that we hit, as a society, we hit more on gay men than gay women. Because I know at least 2 lesbian, well, a bisexual woman and a lesbian.
That's the thing, though, isn't it?
You cannot be a bisexual lesbian. Looking for confirmation.
How did I become the queer god?
You're the overlord right now.
I guess. Hey, I've ascended.
I was holding that one.
Go out. Get out now. You are a horrible catch man. Get out. You. Anyway, that's gonna be my new Twitter name, just by the way, right?
I was saying,
bisexual woman.
They hate gay men.
Yeah.
And they think it's so weird.
It happens. Like I told you, people within the community can be problematic towards people within the community. It's not like once you join the LGBTQ community, you don't get like an acceptance badge and you can't like access every door. And that doesn't mean that you like every other. You can't use every bathroom. You can't use every bathroom, unfortunately. Like you can't do a lot of stuff. And also that doesn't mean that people will be sticking up always for their rights. Because as it comes to most social orders, people are usually looking out for their rights. So we, inside the LGBT community, would identify that, for example, white queer men or white gay men have more privilege than everybody else on the LGBT ladder.
Well, yeah.
Obviously. And so sometimes they can dominate a space. And so that can be uncomfortable for somebody else from like a community of color that might want to have very different conversations. So I've been in community spaces where a black lesbian and an Indian lesbian or a Muslim lesbian want to have like a specific conversation, but there's a white person in the room who doesn't allow for that to happen. And whether they are uncomfortable or feel like they're being left out, stuff like that can happen. So being like society being the way it is, we are always going to meet somebody who is like against you or
Do you think that we could ever reach true equality?
I believe I have to hope so, otherwise I won't get out of bed. Thanks for asking.
In your lifetime, though, do you honestly think it can happen in your lifetime?
I feel like I could die tomorrow, so I don't really look at my lifetime as a span.
Your lifetime in the next 60 years.
I feel like we can make moves. That I don't feel like we would be able to fix everything because we got so far to go, and education systems need to be upheaved, health system needs to be upheaved, like loads of things need to be like pulled back. But I feel like we can have the conversations, like even things like this can make this conversation accessible to somebody who might be listening on the podcast. And that might have them thinking. So then they'll have that conversation with somebody else. Exactly how Life in Leggings worked. Like we had the conversation online. People then took that conversation offline and had it with their boyfriends, had it with their mothers, had it with their grandmothers and their children. And that meant that those children have an awareness, or those adults now have an awareness. And I guess awareness is the first step in progression.
To rewind real far back, I just remember this. When you're talking about you think our tolerance for domestic violence stems from our music.
Yeah, but one of the things, but
It
yeah,
I think the
like-
main thing is just our upbringing, because I have a friend of mine who, well, yeah, a friend of mine in a relationship with another friend of mine, that she just picked fights, but that's because her parents used to fight or whatever.
yeah.
So like my grandparents, my grandfather, like nowadays they're old, 80 something. My grandfather always jokes he can beat my grandmother. She's always boast. You never beat me then, you ain't gonna beat me now. I've never seen my father hit my mother. I know I tend to hit a woman, but look, no, the people that grow up seeing that hearing the woman, the mother getting beat all the time, they probably think that's the norm. And eventually, that ain't gonna anytime soon.
But that's it. Like, once we can acknowledge within, for me, with Life and Leggings especially, not just Life and Leggings, also with everything that I stand for, I believe education is at the forefront for making progressive societies. So if you can have a conversation with a young person and show them that your father hitting your mother is not the way love is supposed to look, then they might have never heard that before. So they could have grown up and become 22 or 24 and believe like the only way to see that Kofi loves me is if Kofi hits me. And that's like, that's
Girl,
not that Kofi does, but
a girl that I used to date literally said she likes when we argue because it shows that I care.
yeah,
And
people
then-
say that.
Yeah.
But
That is so mad.
Yeah, I know girls that will pick fights just to see if I'm still
Invested
in the relationship. Yeah.
And that's harmful, because then we're also told that, because that also can tie into like the fact that guys are only supposed to show their investment in something in their aggression. So they're only supposed to show that they care by being aggressive about that thing that they care about. So that's also another part and parcel of the whole conversation.
It's not from last week.
Yeah.
What voice not from last week?
No, yeah, it was a voice note where the guy was basically the girl allegedly horned him, and then he was like well, you know, F you, I will kill you, I will get a gun and kill you.
And the man that she horny with.
Yeah, right, and he meant that, yeah. So I guess that's kind of the first thing some people go to when they are upset. They say these things.
Yeah, and yeah, it's kind of tragic. It's kind of exhausting.
Yeah.
But hopefully, at some point, we'll be able to create the kind of spaces where young people will be able to have conversations and see what. Which is also one of the reasons why Bill Cosby was so loved, like, because Dr. Huxtable represented like this loving black family, and a lot of people from the black community didn't, especially the African American community, didn't feel like there was enough of that. So they were so used to seeing them without like absent fathers and getting shot up in the streets, that this new idea of like community and togetherness and happiness, a happy black family, like. I would dig that. I would look up to that man. Yeah. But then he also raped those women. So that's another conversation.
It's honestly sad, right? That like I felt so bad. That Bill Cosby
You're just like you were like grandpa.
Wayne.
You know what I mean?
Like
I could see Lil Wayne. I could see Donald Trump.
Yeah, I'm Bill Cosby.
These are people that make sense.
Yeah,
yeah.
And he was.
So yeah, Donald Trump touched me, man. Yeah,
I'm pretty certain that Lil Wayne hasn't though. Like
probably not.
Yeah, he looks like somebody who was like, "Can I eat this pussy? Is that okay?" I gotta ask permission.
What's funny is that Bill Cosby would be against somebody like Lil Wayne, telling him pull up his pants. He told. He would tell a lot of comedians pull up their pants, stop cursing, you know better than that.
So respectability.
Meanwhile, the man didn't used to curse.
Yeah.
Drug women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You are not better as a human being. I'd prefer you curse than drug and rape women. Just saying. Just saying.
I was so disappointed. That don't hurt a little thing. That was so disappointed.
I'm so sorry to bring up that trauma.
Bill Cosby. I remember watching Little Bill, a little cartoon he had me.
Oh shoot, yeah, I forgot about that too.
This man used to do things.
Fat Halbert, yeah.
And then rape women,
B.
From 0 to
0 to 100 real quick.
The black man to look up to. He and Uncle Phil.
Oh, Uncle Phil. No, if anything, no, you can't come for Uncle Phil.
Yeah.
Uncle Phil is a good man. I swear he's family to me somehow.
Yeah,
some way. He's
You
not.
sure?
He's not. But I want him to be so bad.
But okay, so I want to know how much time you got left, Kofi.
How much time we got left?
Yeah.
Though we must be at 2 hours now.
Well, no, but you tell me though. No, everybody tell me.
The audio goes
right
out
now.
of sync at an hour.
What?
The audio goes out of sync at an hour. So
you guys tell me what you guys want to do. I got more things to talk about. I could go on forever. She could
I
always
just
come
got
back.
get round up, so we could call it wraps about quarter to.
How much time you got left?
I think it's 4:45 now, fam.
We could call it raps at 5.
All right, cool. We can call it raps.
What time is it?
They got some stuff that I want to talk about.
All right, Marcus choose
Crap.
one. I'll come
Okay.
back. I'll
Bring
come
it.
back.
Bring it.
I got two more. I got two more things I want to ask you. Right?
Mm.
I got one more. No. I'll ask you, Lucy.
Okay.
You identify as black or white?
I am white passing. I am white looking, but my heritage is mixed.
Oh. Okay.
So when you...
Yeah.
Okay.
Fun fact.
Can you say nigger, yes or no?
No.
Okay.
Not even for a
That's
day.
all you want? Okay, cool.
I love that question. I love that question.
I would only really say it if it's like somebody else has said it and I have it
You're
in
quoting.
quotation.
Okay.
Yeah. So just to kind of hammer home the destructiveness of the statement that was previously made.
Okay.
So I might type it or something.
Okay, so like genetically you're black, but culturally you're seen as white.
No. Genetically.
Sorry, I don't want to cut you off. So you have black family?
Yes, my mother is black.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
For reals. Like, no jokes. Well, she's mixed race, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering when somebody looks the way you look,
As
right?
white as me.
Yeah,
Yes.
and is but their mother is black. What do you call that now?
Well, in some places it would be in England where I was considered a part of the community of color. So black. But here the scale changes a little bit. So I will always be seen as a white person, no doubt. But in England, where my cultural expression is of a minority culture, then I will face several disadvantages. So I wouldn't be given all the privileges of a white person.
Mm.
Whereas here, I face more advantages here because of being white passing.
Okay.
And so like I look.
They're calling it white passing?
Yeah.
Is that literally what you're...
That's what so I say I'm white passing because I look like a white person even though my genetic...
Right, pass for white.
Yeah, I pass for white even though my genetic history is more mixed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alexandra?
Kalinago.
Kalinago. Oh, yeah. I'm also part Kalinago. That's
Oh, so I'll Google that later.
What is known as Caribs?
Right?
Oh,
right.
What was known as Caribs?
So, okay, so if we had to just go by in Barbados, you would be white?
Yeah, you could sometimes I don't like it because it feels like there's a removal of like my grandfather and my mother who have had like big influences in who I am as a person.
Yeah.
But I also get the fact that when somebody sees me, the first thing they think is she's just a white girl.
Yeah, and that made me wonder is which one is more important in classifying someone, the way they look or their ancestry?
I guess that's another debate.
I don't know. That's another
To be
debate.
honest, like if you didn't say anything, I just assumed like you have like Latin American heritage.
Oh, you see, I get that a lot as well, and Asian.
I don't see the Asian, but
Yeah.
Depends on what makeup I'm wearing,
You
actually,
just look-
and how my.
I thought
hair's
she was just
styled.
white, but then when we had this conversation, I was kind of, Okay, so I always wanted to ask this question. What is it like to be a white person in Barbados?
Okay, for me, I am not a part of the white community in Barbados because when you're a part of the white community in Barbados, usually that means you go to certain schools. Your parents tend to know everybody. There's know each other. Yeah. Sorry. Everybody within that community was kind of what my mind was thinking. So that that didn't happen for me. I was born here, but my mother, she lived overseas and then she came back here, and when I was born, she and my father's a white man who moved here from England, and we lived up in the north, and they had experienced the white community in Barbados and felt like it was kind of segregationalist and not really something that they can connect to. So they didn't send me to private school. They let me experience public school for both of my major educational training.
Where did you go to school?
I went to school at Roland Everest Primary School. Shout out to anybody who knows. And Alexandra School. Also, shout out to anybody.
You went Alexandra?
I went Alexandra. Why?
What
do we have to say?
My might get blown for everything, no, boy.
I'm gonna be honest. When you see a white person and you hear them going to public school, they went to QC St. Michael's.
Oh
yeah.
That's true too.
Oh no, I went.
They have like 3 at Harson's, 1 at Commonwealth.
Yeah.
No, I went Alexandra. I would have gone CP. I like.
Was that like? Were you? Do you? How to word this question?
Were you discriminated against?
Yeah.
It's very. That was very deep and kind of like, were you discriminated against?
Like a
tell us your dirty trauma.
Like a bad little girl,
you know what I
bad
mean?
little white girl.
Ew, stop, gross. Ew, please help me. It's gross.
I need an adult.
You know what I mean? Help me.
This is a safe space. Anyway.
No, it's not. You just ruined the safety of this space. So yeah, like I went to school at Alexandra. And I ain't really experienced the kind of, nobody was ever like, all right, so I would like be in history class and people would be talking about slavery and shit. And like, obviously everybody in the class would be like, fuck white people, like burn white people to the ground. And then they'd look around and see Luci and they'd be like, except Luci. And this is a fair and justifiable response. Like these people took up people from their country and brought them to torture them. Like that is a very real, I understand. And also I guess like my grandfather and my mother are very like, they're Afrocentric kind of. So there were elements of it that came into like as I was growing up. I know it's really weird, and so
like this white girl is more woke than me.
No,
I wish I wish you had a camera right there that was looking at Kofi. You got some expressions that I just want to look over again.
I am not.
Anyway.
All right. So then I also okay, yeah. It can be messy and it can be weird because like as I grew up, I would have conversations like my sister has a black father. So she's like, I guess all black. I guess you would call that all black. I don't know.
Right.
So she's like
she's a sure black, not a white person.
Yeah, she's a sure black. She's black for sure. And so we would sit down and have conversations about like her experience. And a lot of my cousins are also the same. Like they look more like stereotypically mixed race than I do. So we would have a lot of conversations about like what their experiences are, which then informed like how I view white supremacy, how I view like Eurocentricity, all these kind of things that I want to dismantle. And I understand it can be really, really weird when this white girl who has like super straight hair, sometimes dyed in all these pretty colors, is looking at you and being like, burn down white supremacy. And you're just like, surely you want this to sustain. Like, surely that's not what you want right now. So I get it. I get that there's always this.
But you aren't ashamed of your white heritage.
No, I'm not. I am more ashamed at what has transpired within the white community, which is like this idea that they are superior.
Okay.
But I tend not to identify with the white community because, especially here in Barbados, because that's not my experience. And then in England, I feel even more removed from the white community because my culture is like white British. So then I'm kind of in like this displacement area. So I spend a lot of time debating my own identity politics in my head.
Which is fine. I have a lot of time debating in my head too. So like, just about anything in general. Just things in general. But okay, so my question. Okay, you said that black people can't be racist. You told me that we had a argument about that. You said black people can't be racist.
We had I can't remember if
we did.
Yeah,
we did.
I believe that's what I said, but I can't remember if we had an argument.
Yeah, we did, and you called me contrarian, so that's why I remember that. Anyway, but yeah, right. But anyway, can you explain why black people can't be racist?
Can I explain why black people cannot be racist? I believe that black people cannot be racist because of how racism for me is about systemic oppression. So, Marcus, can we do this on another day? Because like I'm really, really tired now.
Yeah, you're mentally exhausted. we will do it on another day.
Okay. I don't think I could soak it anymore. And
really?
Yeah.
That sounds deep.
That sounds like I have to like
because I am often like. But call a black people. I will see a black person say something that is very ignorant. I know it's funny racist.
I would find it racist.
I tend to say, all right. So I believe it's more racially prejudiced than racist because I think that due to how racism has been structured and that it is systemic, it's about the collective oppression of a people by the systems such as health, education, justice, all that kind of stuff. Then that means that it's very, very hard. For some, like if Marcus was to call me, I don't know, cracker, it's very, very hard for that to have the same effect on me because Marcus isn't going to stop me from getting a job.
Oh, okay.
Marcus isn't going to stop me from getting health benefits.
It's the sentiment is still the same though.
Right, isn't racism just when you hate on
or think
race?
someone is lower than you in some way?
that was okay. Again, that what happened in just like how many words have like multi meanings, huh? So racism is one of those things that developed a multi meaning as people started to explore where racism came from. So as people started to explore, as academics, not just people, as academics started to explore like the full anthropological extent of racism, they realized that racism can't just be you hating on somebody because of their color. It can't just be that, because there's a deeper or a stronger kind of racism which is fueled by Eurocentricity or white supremacy, which is this idea that you at the top, in order to in order to be at the top, you have to be white assigned, or white, not even white assigned, but like white assimilated.
Okay,
white assimilated. So like if you're a black man and you want to fit in with the white community, you're probably going to get more pass in life or more advantages in life. And so as anthropologists started looking at this, they were like, all right, we need to make a sub definition of racism. And systemic racism then became the term that was used. And then what's happened in parlance, in like our everyday language, is that those who are of like social justice, who are for social justice, will then be like, or social justice warriors, depending on what you want to call them, will then be like, actually, that term more suits the kind of racism that we're trying to disempower and disembody. And so let's have a different phrase for what we knew racism to be like in the 90s, which was just like you hating on somebody because of the color of their skin. And that became racially prejudiced, and systemic racism became
so the
just
word
being
just
racist.
evolved, and
Yeah.
some people weren't
Yeah,
aware.
but did it evolve organically, or did it evolve because some social justice warrior said this is what we want it to be?
It's not like, that's not necessarily how it started. It evolved through anthropological research, and then academics in academic circles having this conversation. Then it started to trickle from the academic conversation into everyday conversation, and then that's now where most people are, well, where a lot of people are at, and we're still in that transitionary period. So I do not think that black people can be racist, because at the end of the day, the racism is not the same. It doesn't have the same impact.
It's not really oppressive.
It's not as oppressive,
Right,
or
well, me hating a white person doesn't keep them down
at all.
Right.
And hating an Asian person doesn't keep them down either. More often than not, if you see, like, because in the Caribbean, we'll see black people hating on Asian people, hating on everybody. Like, different people will always be hating on each other, whereas at the very, very top, the white people still end up making the money and still end up having the cash flow. So there's something very different about what that is, what the interaction between people of color is, that doesn't feel right just calling it racism.
Yeah, I get you.
So only white people could be racist, basically.
Yeah, because they have the privilege.
Advantage, yeah.
A systemic advantage.
We need to continue this another time.
We do.
It sounds so weird saying it, but when you distinguish the different types of the definition of the word racism, I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna end that conversation with this scenario, right? Say a guy, because black people still have some power, right?
Yeah.
A lot of power, actually.
Marcus
But,
talking to Mike.
sorry. So say a lot of people have power. If a guy has a supermarket, right? His power is that he has a supermarket. It's his property. He can do what he wants with his supermarket. He has a sign at the front that says "No white people allowed." Is that racism?
No.
Because it's in this context, it's his system that he has created to say that white people can't go in.
I get you, but
Right.
at the end of the day, the majority of supermarkets, probably in the same area or in the same country, are going to accommodate for white people. So if he himself decides that he wants to make that choice, then he might be racially prejudiced, but that doesn't mean that every white person is going to be affected inside that country, because more often than not, they could just go to Massey at the road, and Massey gonna have more
Let's
to
say
stuff.
he sells the best cheese. You really want this cheese. This
Still
example is poor. Forget it.
We are all exhausted.
Still no.
Listen, we are all exhausted.
We are tired people.
Yeah.
We did the thing though. We kind of the conversation. I'm proud of us.
We did. And they got so many things I want to talk about, but
another day, babe.
we didn't even get into like toxic masculinity and that kind of things. Anyway,
this is why I'm telling you, Marcus. You need to tell me what I'm having a conversation about so that I can do like all my research and just come and be like, bam, bam, bam.
Yeah, it's true. But either way, we went on really long. So, but I really appreciate you coming. You were one of the main people I wanted when I first thought about doing this to come on, because from just reading your opinions online and stuff, and voicing your opinion, there are a lot of things we disagree on.
Yeah.
But I think disagreeing and agreeing isn't as important as understanding people.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you say when you explain where your own experiences and where you came from, then it kind of expands my world, because I could go into your world and kind of just like be in your shoes for a bit, and I can understand where you're coming from, why you say these things,
and just be like, I get that.
Yeah, I do get that, right?
And she can make me Google when I go home.
Yeah.
I thought I was going out tonight. Now I just researched it. Yeah,
just Google.
No, Kofi, have fun as well. So Google while you're at the party.
So
I do that.
Really?
I do that. I Google me on Instagram. I just be like, this thing that I just thought of, Google this immediately.
All the time.
So while Kofi Googles the gay lords and what they have,
overlords, the
gay agenda.
Have
fun.
That's the politically correct. This is the gay overlords. Yeah. But yeah, we do.
So messy.
Again, Lucy, thank you for coming.
No problem.
And this is. I hope this is not the last time that you will be here.
Thank you for having me. Both of you.
See, we ain't get shelled down.
Nyasha Romer.
Yeah, Nyasha Romer said we was gonna get shelled down.
Shelled down by who?
Yeah, by you.
By me?
Yeah.
How? Like, I
for
feel
being
like
ignorant.
I feel like people. I honestly feel like people think I'm a lot more aggressive. I mean, I am very aggressive online, but most of the time I'm just like, okay, like I have more patience in Barbados than I do, or I have more patience with Bajans than I do with most people, because I'm just like, I'm from Barbados. I get why we don't have that access to conversation.
Yeah.
So I got time for us to have that conversation.
Yeah.
However, if you're from America and everybody been telling you this and you acting ignorant, I can just tell you to suck your mother.
It's true. Yeah. It's true. So this is to be continued. What happened?
I don't know why when you said suck your mother, I was going to say, well, what's suppose my mother identifies as a man.
So messy!
Assuming my mother's gender.
Anyway. I'm just saying, suck your mother. It doesn't matter what genitalia your mother got. Like, suck it.
The INO podcast, information, knowledge, observation. Also, I know nothing. Kofi definitely doesn't know anything.
Nothing.
All right, Jon Snow.
But we're going to
you know Kofi Snow.
You know nothing, Kofi Snow. Kofi Black Snow. This is the INO podcast. We will see you later. All right. Till next time.